Section 300.3 Code of the National Electrical Code specifically addresses the issue of mixing alternating current and direct current conductors within the same enclosure. The code states that conductors of different systems, alternating current and direct current, shall not occupy the same enclosure. This regulation is in place for several critical reasons, primarily to prevent interference and maintain the integrity and safety of both the alternating current and direct current systems. The fundamental reason behind this separation requirement stems from the inherent differences in the electrical characteristics of alternating current and direct current. Alternating current, as the name implies, periodically reverses its direction of flow, typically at a rate of 60 Hz in many regions. This alternating current flow creates electromagnetic fields that can induce currents in nearby conductors. Direct current, on the other hand, flows in a single direction and produces a steady magnetic field. When alternating current and direct current conductors are placed in close proximity, the alternating current's fluctuating electromagnetic field can induce unwanted noise or interference in the direct current circuit. This interference can manifest as voltage fluctuations or signal distortion, potentially disrupting the operation of sensitive electronic devices or control systems powered by the direct current circuit. Moreover, the presence of alternating current in close proximity to direct current conductors can introduce safety hazards. The alternating current's electromagnetic field can induce voltages in the direct current conductors, creating a risk of electric shock if the direct current circuit is not properly insulated or grounded. This is particularly concerning in applications where the direct current circuit is used to power low voltage devices or equipment that may be accessible to personnel. In addition to interference and safety considerations, the mixing of alternating current and direct current conductors can also lead to performance degradation of the electrical systems. The alternating current's electromagnetic field can cause increased losses in the direct current conductors due to eddy currents and other parasitic effects. These losses can reduce the efficiency of the direct current system and potentially overheat the conductors, leading to insulation breakdown and premature failure. To mitigate these risks and ensure the reliable and safe operation of electrical systems, the NEC mandates the separation of alternating current and direct current conductors. This separation can be achieved through various methods, including the use of separate conduits, cable trays, or raceways for the alternating current and direct current circuits. Alternatively, the conductors can be separated by a physical barrier within a shared enclosure. When selecting a separation method, it is crucial to consider the specific application and the potential for interference or safety hazards. For example, in sensitive electronic equipment or control systems, it may be necessary to provide a greater degree of separation than in less critical applications. It is also important to ensure that the separation method is compliant with all applicable codes and standards. In the specific case of a 24-volt direct current 2.5 amp-hour supply in number 12 American wire gauge 120-volt alternating current conductors, the NEC clearly prohibits running these conductors in the same conduit. Section 300.3 Code explicitly states that conductors of different systems, alternating current and direct current, shall not occupy the same enclosure. Therefore, the 24-volt direct current wires must be run in a separate conduit from the 120-volt alternating current conductors. To further elaborate on the NEC requirements and best practices for separating alternating current and direct current conductors, it is helpful to consider the following points. Firstly, grounding and bonding. Proper grounding and bonding are essential for minimizing the risk of electrical shock and ensuring the safe operation of electrical systems. The grounding system provides a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source, allowing overcurrent protective devices to quickly trip and de-energize the circuit. The bonding system connects all metallic enclosures and equipment together, creating an equipotential plane that minimizes voltage differences and reduces the risk of shock. When separating alternating current and direct current conductors, it is important to ensure that both systems are properly grounded and bonded in accordance with the NEC requirements. Secondly, shielding. Shielded cables can be used to reduce the amount of electromagnetic interference radiated from alternating current conductors. The shield acts as a barrier, preventing the electromagnetic fields from escaping and affecting nearby direct current circuits. Shielded cables are particularly useful in applications where the separation between alternating current and direct current conductors is limited. Thirdly, filtering. Filters can be used to suppress noise and interference on both the alternating current and direct current circuits. Alternating current filters are typically used to reduce harmonic distortion and other power quality problems, while direct current filters are used to remove voltage ripple and other unwanted signals. By filtering the alternating current and direct current circuits, it is possible to minimize the potential for interference even when the conductors are located in close proximity. Fourthly, physical separation. The greater the physical separation between alternating current and direct current conductors, the less likely it is that interference will occur. When possible, it is best to run the conductors in separate conduits or raceways that are located as far apart as possible. This physical separation helps to minimize the coupling of electromagnetic fields between the two systems. Fifthly, conductor routing. The way in which conductors are routed can also affect the amount of interference that occurs. When running alternating current and direct current conductors in parallel, it is best to keep them as short as possible and to avoid running them close to sensitive electronic equipment. Crossing the conductors at right angles can also help to reduce the coupling of electromagnetic fields. Sixthly, documentation. It is important to document the separation methods used for alternating current and direct current conductors. This documentation should include the location of the conduits or raceways, the type of shielding or filtering used, and any other relevant information. Proper documentation can help to ensure that the separation methods are maintained over time and that any potential problems can be quickly identified and resolved. In addition to these specific considerations, it is also important to be aware of other NEC requirements that may apply to the installation of alternating current and direct current conductors. For example, the NEC contains requirements for conductor ampacity, overcurrent protection, and wiring methods. These requirements must be followed to ensure the safe and reliable operation of the electrical systems. In summary, the NEC prohibits the mixing of alternating current and direct current conductors in the same enclosure or conduit. This rule is in place to prevent interference, ensure safety, and maintain the performance of electrical systems. When installing alternating current and direct current conductors, it is important to follow the NEC requirements and best practices for separation. This includes proper grounding and bonding, shielding, filtering, physical separation, conductor routing, and documentation. By following these guidelines, it is possible to minimize the risk of interference and ensure the safe and reliable operation of electrical systems. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC and consult with a qualified electrician for specific guidance on your installation. Keep in mind that the requirements outlined in the NEC are intended to provide a minimum level of safety and may need to be supplemented with additional measures depending on the specific application and the potential for hazards. The goal is to create an electrical system that operates reliably, safely, and without causing interference to other systems or equipment.